my name is Genevieve, and today I am having a great day so far, and it's going to be even better because I am making siopao. Siopao is a Filipino bread that's a little on the sweet side, and it's filled with a meat that is also on the sweet side. I have filled mine with pork, but I've seen it with chicken. And actually last Thanksgiving we had a lot of leftover turkey, so I took that turkey and I made turkey siopao, and it was so bomb. It went really well, and that's what I'm going to do with my leftover turkey from now on. I'm just going to make siopao. But I am really excited to show you how I make this. So let me go over the ingredients with you so that I can get started. These are the ingredients that you will need to make the filling. You will need a choice of protein, and I am using pork shoulder, a small onion, some fresh garlic, some fresh ginger, soy sauce, brown sugar, oyster sauce, hoisin sauce, a little bit of black pepper, cornstarch, and some water. The first thing I'm going to work with are what are these, spices? The first thing I'm going to work with is my spices. Peel and smash your garlic. I'm smashing it with the peel on because the skin just peels off really easy after it's smashed. See? I'm going to cut these in big pieces so that I can pick them out later. You'll see. These are my ginger slices so that I could just pick them out. Now I'm going to cut my onion as small as I can. Okay. I am really sensitive to onions, if you can't tell. All right, set this aside, and I'm probably going to have to take a break first. Okay, set these aside and work with your meat. My meat is all cubed, my spices are cut, so now we can take this to the stovetop. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is saute our onion, ginger, and garlic. Well, actually, the first thing we're going to do is heat up your pan and put some oil in it. This has been sauteing for about 3 minutes, and if you can see, it kind of turned a little light brown. So now I'm going to saute my meat. My house is going to smell. Normally I have the fan going, but I don't want it to get in the way of the audio, so I left the fan off. The meat is now nicely browned, so I'm going to add all the other ingredients. A little bit of water, soy sauce, brown sugar, hoisin sauce, oyster sauce, pepper. Okay, I said I was going to add all the ingredients, so what I meant was all the ingredients except the cornstarch. The rest of the water. It has come to a really nice simmer, so I'm going to cover it and cook this for 45 minutes so that it gets really nice and tender. Just one thing to remember is that I am using pork. If you choose a different protein, then your cooking time might be different than mine. This has been simmering for about 50 minutes. If there was a bone on this, it would fall right off the bone. It's very tender. It's perfect. If you want to make any adjustments to your filling, now is the time to do it. If you want it sweeter or more saltier, make your adjustments now. Otherwise, we will move on to the next step, which is removing the ginger, or not. You could leave them in there. It's just, I do not appreciate a big bite of ginger when I eat anything. But now I am going to thicken this sauce with cornstarch and dissolve it in some water. And let it thicken. This is my consistency. If you can imagine biting into a siopao, this is how it's going to run. It's going to be this oozy. Well, let this come to room temperature a little, and then I'm going to store it in the refrigerator until I'm ready to fill my bread. To make the dough, you will need some warm milk, some instant yeast. If you don't have instant yeast, then dry yeast will work just fine. Just make sure you proof it first. And that is really the difference between the instant and the dry yeast, is that instant yeast does not have to be proofed first. Some sugar for the yeast, all-purpose flour, baking powder, some more white sugar, shortening, and a little bit of salt. If you don't have a mixer, you can always do it traditional way and do it by hand. Add my warm milk in here, sugar, swirl it around a little bit. My yeast, and swirl you around a little bit. Actually, I'm gonna mix. Add your flour, baking powder, and sugar. Mix. I've just mixed it enough to incorporate it. I'm going to knead my dough on the setting no higher than the 3rd setting. I really want my dough to form a nice ball, so I'm just going to add a tablespoon of flour at a time until it gets there. I'm satisfied with the ball that this dough has formed, so now I'm going to add my shortening. The shortening looks fully incorporated into the dough, so now I'm going to add my salt. After 8 minutes of kneading, 11 minutes into kneading. This is my dough, 15 minutes into kneading. I'm going to show you how I check to see if my dough is done kneading. The first way is that I just look at it, and if you can see like how smooth the surface of the dough is. And then the second way is by doing a window test, and this will tell you that the gluten is activated and that your dough will rise nicely. So you just take a little piece and you just stretch it until it looks fairly transparent. So you can tell already right now that this dough is very stretchy. It's not ripping. Line my bowl with some shortening so that it doesn't stick. My bowl is nicely lubricated, so now I'm going to coat my dough in some of that shortening. Pop it in here so it can rise in this bowl. Loosely cover it. You want this to rise in a place that's dry and warm, so I prepared my oven for this by turning my oven on for about 30 seconds. Then I turned it off. So now I'm going to stick this in there with the oven light on and let it rise for an hour.
Catch your groove, girl. Catch your groove. That's right.
My dough has poofed up really nicely. To punch it down, I'm going to knead it a little bit. So I'm just picking up the sides and pressing it onto the dough. Cover it and put it back in there until it doubles in size, and that should take around the same time, around an hour. I'll see you in a little bit. My dough has doubled in size, so now I am going to punch all that air out of it. I'm going to weigh my dough to make sure that each piece is even. 1,524 grams. If I wanted 20 siopao, then each piece of dough should weigh 76 grams. Make sure you cover it so that it doesn't dry out when you work with the rest of your dough. I also should have said this, but before you begin this step, prep your steamer, so that's one less thing you have to worry about. Now you are going to cut parchment paper squares. You can use wax paper for this. I just find that wax paper does a really good job in sticking to the siopao, and you don't want that. You want to be able to separate them when you eat it. I'm actually going to show you 2 ways how to wrap the siopao. Roll it out into a small circle, and when you get to the edges, you want to make the edges thin. Give yourself enough room to work with and pinch the edges together, because if the filling comes in any contact with the parts that you want to stick, it's not going to stick. It's just going to slide against each other. Scoop of your filling. Bring the edges in. And when I bring those edges up like this, I'm really pinching hard to make sure it sticks to itself, and then give it a little twist, not too hard because you might rip the dough if you go too fast, just gently. I'm gonna do a close-up for the people in the back who can't see. It's thicker in the middle, thin on the outside, and that's just so your bread filling ratio is not only even, but it's centered. I'm gonna pleat it. I'm gonna pick up here, 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 here. North, south, east, west. Pick it up, fold it on itself. Okay. Let me turn this. Pick this up, fold it on itself. Okay, now when you've got a hold of the edges, make sure you pinch, 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 pinch it closed, and then twist. Don't give it a chance to open up because it will open up as it rises or even as it cooks. It's going to expand and open. Get your parchment paper. I'm actually going to show you another way. You pick up north and south, and then you're going to pick up east and west. Pinch, pinch, pinch. So you have 4 sides pinch, and then you're going to just pick these up and pinch those. And then twist. Twist and pinch. Make sure you cover your siopao when you're done filling it so it doesn't dry out. This is my last dough. It's going to be perfect. Okay, it didn't come out perfect. So you know what happens when yours doesn't come out perfect? This is what you do. You get your parchment paper and you do this. I don't know anybody that spat a siopao out because it looked like this. Let it rest for between 15 to 30 minutes. I want to caution you in letting these overproof because if these do overproof, it's going to collapse once you steam it. You can tell that one of them is kind of flat. This is the first batch that I steamed and this is the last one. I didn't have a steamer that allowed all my siopao to steam at once, so I had to do them in batches, and that resulted in these getting overproofed. The skin will get wrinkly like that and it'll flatten out. If you want your dough really, really white, add a tablespoon of white vinegar to your steam water. It starts to open like that. That's what I was talking about earlier. All you do is you just pinch them closed. No big deal. Or if you don't want to run the risk of this opening when it steams, you do this. Place them about an inch apart from each other, like that. The filling is already cooked, so the dough is really the only thing that needs to be cooked. Let it steam for 20 minutes on medium. If steam is violently shooting out of the sides, then just turn it down to medium. I put a towel on this lid and that's so it could catch some of that steam. If too much steam builds up on the top, it's gonna drip down onto your siopao. It has been 20 minutes, so I am going to take this off the heat and I really don't want to introduce my siopao to a drastic change in temperature because it might collapse. So I'm just going to leave it here for 5 minutes and let it cool down on its own. Usually right after I steam them, I like to wrap them in plastic wrap just to prevent them from drying out. Ouch, hot. Results time. Okay, let's just take this lucky contender right here, take off the parchment. Cheers. Wow. Yep. The bread is so soft. The filling is very scrumptious. It's very satisfying. And Hmm. So, bread. I am a saucy girl. I love sauces. I will put sauce on anything. I just like sauces. And there are some versions of Siopao where they serve the sauce separately. So you just kind of take that sauce and you add it into your Siopao as you eat it. I prefer all the sauce in here already. So that's how I made it saucy. And another reason why I love Siopao is because it makes great meal prep because it freezes very well. So let me show you how. Just take a piece of plastic wrap, cover it like so. And when all of these are wrapped, I will just put them in a baggie like this and store it in the freezer. And when I am ready to eat it, whether I'm at work or at home, this is how I bring it back to life. You take it out of its plastic here. So we're gonna pretend that this is frozen, right? You get a paper towel. I squeezed maybe like 75% of the water out of it. So you take this damp paper towel, you take your frozen Siopao and you put it on top and you stick this in the microwave for maybe 45 seconds to a minute depending on how strong your microwave is, and it's ready. It's just as good as the day you made it. The alternative version to reheating it is just putting it back on the steamer, but because of convenience and ease, I like the damp paper towel method. I really hope you enjoyed this Siopao tutorial. If you have any questions about any part of this procedure or any general comments, you can drop it in the comments where I'll see it. And since you're going to be down there, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already so that you don't miss out on all the other recipes that I want to share. Bye. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you for watching me make the Siopao.